Hello, I'm Sarah and I'm 71 years old. I've heard a lot of stories here and I thought that I'd share something that happened to me recently, yet it happened over the course of a few years. The story involves my daughter Megan. Megan had met her husband Charlie when they were in high school. They dated since the start of high school, but didn't get married until years later. My daughter dropped out of college after a year because she got pregnant. Did I think she was too young to be pregnant? Yes. But I was not going to shame her for it because she seemed very excited about it. What made me upset was that she and Charlie were moving across the country with Charlie's parents. Megan announced her pregnancy and moved all together at a dinner party. I had taken Megan aside after everyone had congratulated her and told her about how I felt. "Can I just talk to you for a minute?" "Yeah, of course, Mom. What's the matter?" "First of all, I just want to say congratulations on the baby. I can't wait to be a grandmother." "I bet. I'm going to make sure that at the very least my child and I come down to visit you frequently. After all, as a first-time mom, I will need the help of the best mother in the world." "Oh, stop it. I'll be of any help that I can." "But about you coming down frequently." "Yes. Do you really have to move? I mean, you just dropped some wonderful news, and I also want to be a part of you and your child's life." "I want you to be a part of it as well. But Charlie got a great job offered there, and we can't let it go. It would be stupid to turn down more money when we have a child on the way." "I know, it just hurts. I only just got you back after you went away for college, and not even 2 years later, you're going away for God knows how long." "I'm sorry, Mom. I promise that we'll be in touch as frequently as possible, and if I don't come down here, you can come there." "Oh, honey, I wish it was as easy as that. You know that I have to work, and my company makes it hell to get even a day off." "It's okay. I'm sure we'll figure out a way." I was sad about her leaving, but then again, I had always known that the day she would leave home would come soon. My grandson, James, was born 9 months later. I had flown over for the last month of Megan's pregnancy because she really wanted me there. I stayed with Megan and Charlie for another month or so and helped them adjust to living with a newborn. I told them what to expect and also what to do when the baby cried too much. They seemed nervous, but I assured them that after a few months they'd get the hang of it. The parents' instincts will never let you harm your child, and that is advice I stand by to date. Anyway, after I returned back home, I went right back to work. My visit to Megan had cost me my yearly time off, but it was worth it. Things only got more hectic after that. Megan would phone me once a week to give me updates and ask for help whenever she needed it. Even though I wasn't there physically with Megan, it still felt as if I was right there with her whenever she called. And so 2 years passed. I hadn't gotten to meet Megan or her family in those 2 years. A lot of promises had been made on Megan's part to come down and visit, but she apparently could never seem to get a day off work. I was initially really hurt and frustrated, but I understood where she was coming from, considering I was in the same position. However, one day Megan called me, and that conversation changed things for us. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, honey, how are you? And how's Charlie and my grandbaby?" "I'm good, and so are Charlie and James." "James said his first words, by the way." "Oh, really? That's amazing, sweetie." "Yeah, and hearing James speak made Charlie and I realize something." "Oh, what is it?" "That we've been together for 6 years and we even had a baby." "Yes, it's been a very long time. As long as you're happy, time will fly faster than you could blink." "Exactly. So we were thinking of getting married." "What? Oh, wow, I'm so happy for both of you. When will you get married?" We were thinking of getting married next week. Next week? But honey, your dad and I won't be able to make it, unless you plan on getting married here. Are you? No, Charlie and I wanted a quick and personal wedding. We were just going to register ourselves, go out to maybe the beach for a picnic with James and Charlie's parents, and then call it a day. So Charlie's parents get to be there when you get married, but your dad and I don't? Mom, don't be like that. I'm sorry, but I've tried to be as supportive of everything you've done so far. I was hurt and upset by you moving when you were pregnant, but I let it go. Then you never visited me for 2 years, and whenever you called, it was only to ask for help. I let go of it all because I wanted to see you happy. But this feels like a slap in my face. Why can't you just be happy for me? Megan, I'm really trying. Your father will be even more heartbroken with your decision. This time I won't intervene, and you can deal with the fallout yourself. Mom, come on. Congratulations on getting married. Goodbye. My husband and I were beyond upset. I mean, looking back, I knew that it was wrong for me to lash out at Megan that way. I was overcome with sadness at just how much of Megan's life I was missing. I tried to get over it. I did. Megan called me after she and Charlie got married, and I tried my best to engage in proper conversation with her. But I couldn't get past my sadness. Eventually, Megan stopped calling. She sensed that something was wrong, and while she never made an apology, she decided it was best to just not contact her father and me as much. Somehow, I managed to move on with life. It got easier as more time passed. My husband and I got through our grief by spending our time with each other. We went on a lot of trips together, not out of state, but every other weekend. We went to various resorts and different parts of town, and sometimes we would even get to the town over. Sometimes Megan would send us postcards and pictures of James, and it made me feel bittersweet. I hated that I was missing watching my grandson grow up. It was simply one I had to live with. Before I knew it, 15 years had passed in total since I saw Megan and her family. My husband and I were well into our 50s, and we were planning on retiring the next year. We were looking forward to going on a tour of Europe and then Asia. We spent those 15 years just saving up to finally live our lives the way we always wanted to. One day, out of the blue, we got a knock on our door. You can imagine my surprise when I opened the door and saw Megan, Charlie, and James standing at my doorstep. Except there was one more addition, another baby. It took me a good minute to fully grasp the fact that my daughter and her family were standing at my doorstep. 15 years later, and they still knew just how to surprise me. All those emotions from years of no contact flew right out the window. I cried as I enveloped Megan in a tight hug. I greeted Charlie just as warmly, and then took a second to look at my 15-year-old grandson. He had grown so much. He was a full-blown teenager now. I hugged him tightly, and then I looked at the new baby. Megan informed me it was a baby girl. She was asleep, but she looked so serene. I quickly ushered everyone inside. My husband seemed just as shocked as me when he saw them, and hugged them too. I quickly made all of us cups of coffee and sat down with them to ask them what they were doing back home. So what are you guys doing back? And Megan, when did you have another child? Well, I gave birth 6 months ago. After I gave birth, I began to miss home way more than I ever thought I would. I guess giving birth reminds me of what things were like 15 years ago. Speaking of which, we really are sorry for not keeping in touch. No, we should have also tried to keep in touch. Our egos got in the way of us enjoying family time, even if it was over call. But Mom, so much has happened since we last spoke. I'm sure it did. I mean, you had another child. What's her name? We've named her Sienna. Do you want to hold her? Yes, of course. Oh, isn't she a doll? Oh, what is this? She has blonde hair. I know. We were surprised too. Does Charlie have blonde genes in his family? Not that we know of. We just figured that it may have been a recessive gene that just became dominant with her. That is interesting. Will I be able to see my grandkids more often now? Yes, of course. Actually, about that, Megan and I had something big to ask of you. Yes, what is it? We know this is sudden, but do you and Dad think you guys could let us live here for a little while until we get back on our feet? Oh, honey, that's not a big ask at all. We would be more than glad to help you out. When will you move in? Our things will be arriving in about a week, and we could stay in a motel so you and Dad could prepare. Nonsense. This house has always been too big for only the both of us. We can slowly figure things out as time passes, but you guys can stay here starting now. Thank you a lot. You are helping us out big time. We promise to be as helpful as possible. I was excited to finally build a good relationship with my grandkids. Everything had aligned so perfectly. I was retiring and I was going to be able to be a grandmother. Megan and her family stayed with us for an entire year. I got to witness my second grandchild's firsts, and nothing brought me greater joy than that. James and I were also getting along pretty well, although he did seem a little distant. He was not only distant with me, but with his parents as well. He barely even looked at Sienna. I got concerned when it was Sienna's birthday and James just locked himself up in his bedroom. My husband and I tried to get him to come out and celebrate, but he refused to. I was worried, so I asked Megan and Charlie if there was something wrong. They laughed James's behavior off and assured us that there was nothing wrong. They chalked his behavior up to being jealous of his sister. I didn't think it was normal for a boy his age to be that jealous of his sister. Sure, there was a huge age gap between the both of them, but still, to be so jealous that he refused to even associate himself with her was a bit extreme. Even so, I left my opinions behind and tried my best to get along with James. I tried to be someone James could trust and lean on. I also tried to coax him into telling me what was going on with him, but nothing I tried seemed to work. At best, James would tell me about other things going on in his life. If I ever brought up his reactions to Sienna subtly, he would shut down. Over the rest of the year, Megan and Charlie found good jobs that allowed them to buy their own home. It was only 4 blocks away from us, and even though they weren't living with us, I still got to see them almost every day. With both Megan and Charlie working, I was asked to babysit Sienna a lot. Years began to pass, and I essentially became a second mother figure to Sienna because of how much time I spent raising her. We ended up developing a close bond. But there was one thing that I noticed. James began withdrawing from me even more. Whatever little progress I had made since he moved here started slipping from my hands. But before I could do anything about it, James decided to move out of his parents' home and go to college on the other side of the country. James and I barely spoke after that. I only got to speak to him over the holidays and birthdays. It hurt that I had to go through the same things over and over again, but I learned to be happy with what I had at the very least, and that was Sienna. Sienna grew into a very pretty and able girl, although as she grew older there were a lot more distinct and different features showing up in her. For starters, she was more olive-skinned and pale like the rest of her family. Her facial structure was different, and she had very curly hair, a trait that no one on either side of her family had. My husband and I often discussed how it was possible for Sienna to look so different from us, and every time the conversation would leave us feeling a little unsettled. One time when Megan had come over to spend time with me when Sienna was around 9 years old and was off to school now, I decided to ask Megan why Sienna looked so different. "I've been meaning to ask you something, actually." "Yeah? What is it?" I mean, this is in the nicest way possible, but your father and I were just curious. Why does Sienna look so different from the rest of us? What are you trying to imply here? Are you trying to ask me if I cheated? Whoa, what? No, I would never accuse you of something like that. Your father and I have been talking about it a little, and we couldn't help but notice that Sienna has a lot of different features. Yes, she has a lot of different features, but she is still our daughter. I gave birth to her. Yes, honey, I don't doubt that one bit. I'm only wondering about why the difference exists. I love Sienna just the way she is, with all my heart and soul. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to pull up her birth certificate, or do you want me to introduce you to the nurses and the doctor who helped deliver Sienna? Honey, you're lashing out. I was only asking because I came across this DNA test that tells you about your entire ancestry. Maybe we could all do it and in the process find out where Sienna gets her genes from. Absolutely not. That feels like a setup. A setup? What exactly would I need to set you up for? If I give in now, there's no telling what else you'll ask me to do. You're thinking too much into this, honey. You know what? Why don't we just drop the topic? I couldn't understand why Megan was being so defensive about Sienna's appearance. It's not like I was insulting her, but in a way I still understood what she must have felt. My husband and I let go of it and instead just enjoyed our years bringing Sienna up. Things started to change when Sienna was 15, though. She would often swing by my place after school. She would come over looking sad and sometimes even in tears. That was alarming because she was the most joyful girl I knew. After a little prodding, Sienna revealed that she had an assignment a few months ago regarding genetics where her class was asked to bring pictures of their families. When she brought hers, everyone looked at her in confusion. Her teacher also looked confused and asked her if she was adopted, to which she obviously said no. The teacher had pulled her aside after class and asked her if she was sure that she was not adopted because, logically speaking, there was no way that she could look that different from her family. While her teacher was nice towards her, the rest of her classmates weren't. Word of her starkly different looks got around and kids began making comments. I felt bad for her, I really did, but I reassured her that she was a part of the family no matter how she looked. This went on for a long while before Sienna actually came back home sobbing one day. I can't take it anymore, Grandma, I can't. What happened, sweetie? For some reason, some of the mean girls decided to take over a free period to discuss my different looks. The entire class participated in it, and it was so humiliating. What the hell? That's not right at all. Do you want me to tell your parents to take this up with your school? It won't be of any use. They tell me to just let go of whatever the other kids are saying. I tried asking them for a DNA test, but they always get angry at me for asking. Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. I can try talking to your parents about the DNA test. You know, a few years ago, I tried talking to your mom about it too, but she got angry with me for it. Yeah, Mom and I get into a lot of screaming fights about it. I promise you, if there's any other way for me to help you feel better, I will. Just say the word. Well, I'm turning 16 in 2 weeks. Could you maybe get me those DNA test kits as a gift? Of course, sweetie, although it will have to remain a secret. You can't tell anyone because it can't get back to your parents. Of course. Was it wrong to go against my daughter's wishes? Yes. Was it okay for me to watch my granddaughter struggle and not do anything about it? Absolutely not. So I ordered her the DNA test. It arrived in the mail a week later, and Sienna did it the same day it arrived. We shipped it off and waited for the results, which could take up to a month to come. I saw a big shift in Sienna's mood after that. She seemed a lot happier and lighter, like a burden had been lifted off her shoulders. A month flew by quickly and we had the results waiting in my inbox. The first thing the result told us was that Megan, Charlie and James had all taken the DNA test a few years ago when Sienna was around 4 years old. This meant that Sienna would get a more accurate result. Sienna's excitement over the report quickly turned to horror. I had let her see the report first, so I had no idea why she was so horrified until I saw the report myself. The report had said that she was James's daughter. There had to be a mistake. We Googled the accuracy rate of the test, and it was pretty high. I felt sick. And Sienna didn't look so good either, so I called up Megan and told her and Charlie to come over as soon as they were done with work. I told her about what Sienna and I had found out, and she was furious. I told her I didn't care about her anger because she owed Sienna an explanation. When Megan and Charlie arrived, they looked frantic. "Mom, why would you do something I explicitly told you not to do behind our backs? Save your anger at me for later. Sienna is a mess. Tell her the truth." "We never wanted to, but Sienna, sweetie, you should know that we love you, and you'll always be our little girl regardless of the technicalities. Please, just tell me. When your brother was 15, he got a girl pregnant. She wanted nothing to do with the baby, so we took the baby in, and that was you. So, you guys are my grandparents?" "Technically, yes, but we raised you like..." "So, let me get this straight. You lied to me for my entire life about my relationships with you, and then when I started getting bullied, you got into screaming matches with me instead of just telling me? Do you even know how messed up that is? For years, I've been struggling with this. You knew it, and you still didn't say a word. You don't love me. You just wanted to keep up appearances. Sienna, don't you dare speak to us that way. Whatever. I'm moving in with Grandma. I never want to see you guys again." "Sienna, sweetie, please. What else would we have done?" "I think you guys should leave. She's dealing with a lot right now." "This is all your fault." "No, it's yours. You damaged your child's entire perception of herself for years, and now it's catching up. Give her the space she wants. It's the least you can do for her." Megan and Charlie tried their best to get Sienna to come back with them, but she wouldn't budge. They left, but not before yelling all sorts of profanities at me. I asked Sienna what she was going to do from then on because truthfully, even I was still reeling from the revelation. Sienna told me that she was being serious about moving in, and I told her that she was always welcome here. Megan and Charlie tried to report me for kidnapping, but Sienna was 16 and was allowed to make her own decisions regarding where she wanted to live, and since she was still living with a relative, there was nothing wrong. I've put Sienna into therapy because of how much she's dealing with, and even though I see no progress right now, I'm sure that she will feel better soon. Megan and Charlie have tried every way possible to get back at me, but I've always told them that if they tried anything on Sienna, I would tell everyone in the family about what they did. True to themselves, they stopped making any more efforts because of the threat of a ruined reputation. Anyway, my husband and I are planning to take Sienna to Spain this summer in the hopes of making her feel better. It's going to be a long and hard road ahead, but I'm sure the journey will be worth it in the end.